got a breakfast invite. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Yasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Chari Yamuna Tira Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Yasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Asatara Satyashri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Shikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dhama ki jai, Mathura Dhama ki jai, Navadvip Mayapur Dhama ki jai, Jagannath Puri Dhama ki jai, Ganga Maya Jamuna Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Maharani ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Deshatarane Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvoitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Panchakalpa Chubhishcha Kripa Sindhu Vyebhacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So it's March 8th, 2026, in New Goloka, Hillsborough, North Carolina, and we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 71, Text 36. Tatra tatropasangamya Pura Mangalapanaya Chakru Samaryam Krishnaya Srini Mukha Hataisanaha. Please chant. Tatra tatro prasangamya Pura Mangalapanaya Chakru Saparyam Krishnaya Srini Mukha Hataisana. Tatra tatro prasangamya Puro Mangalapanaya Chakru Samparyam Krishnaya Srini Mukha Hatainasa. Tatra tatro prasangamya Pura Mangalapanaya Chakru Saparyam Krishnaya Srini Mukha Hataisana. Tatra tatra, in various places. Upasangamya, approaching. Puraha, citizens of the city. Mangala, auspicious offerings. Panayaha, in their hands. Chakrahu, performed. Saparyam, worship. Krishnaya, for Lord Krishna. Shreni, of occupational guilds. Mukyaha, of the leaders. Hata, eradicated. Enastaha, who sins. BBT translation. In various places, citizens of the city came forward holding auspicious offerings for Lord Krishna, and sinless leaders of occupational guilds came forward to worship the Lord. Now, it's interesting, the word Shreni just means groups, and Mukhya means the chief, so the chief of various groups, so you may wonder why they are translating it as various occupational guilds. BBT purport. Srila Prabhupada writes, while Lord Krishna was thus passing on the road, at intervals, some of the opulent citizens who were all rich, respectable, and free from sinful activities presented auspicious articles to the Lord just to offer him a reception to the city. Thus they worshipped him as humble servants. Commentary of Srila Sanatana Goswami. At various places on the road, the citizens gathered, holding in their hands auspicious items such as yogurt and rice, unlimited articles from their houses, and worshipped Krishna, who attracts everyone because they were pure-hearted, hadai asaha, or they destroyed the sins of others. They perform worship of Krishna, or in order to attain Krishna, Krishnaya. In Sanskrit grammar, you don't have separate words as prepositions. You don't have for Krishna. You add an ending to the word. So when you have Krishnaya, it means for Krishna or to Krishna. Srila Jiva Goswami's commentary. Now this is why the BBT, they are getting this from Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. That's why they're translating Shreni, which just means groups, as occupational guilds. Srila Jiva Goswami's commentary, the businesses of the city are described. All the leaders were devoid of karmas on remembering him. They performed his worship, Krishnaya. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, the heads of the various communities, Shreni Mukhya, who earned their living by particular arts, worshipped Krishna. Tatra tato basanganya, pora mangalapanaya, chakru samparyam Krishnaya, Shreni Mukha Hataya Saha. In various places, citizens of the city came forward holding auspicious offerings for Lord Krishna, and sinless leaders of occupational guilds came forward to worship the Lord. So I could have had another class on Varnashram, decided not to do that today. But I would like to at least have everyone note that Varnashram existed not only in farms, it's fine, but also in cities. Oh, thank you. So even though it was a city, Pora means the residents of the city, still there were various groups according to the different Varnas, because sometimes devotees think that Varnashram means land and cows. Yes? Many times, are we going to start a Varnashram community? It means we have to buy a farm and everybody has to have a cow. So definitely Varnashram includes the concept of having a sustainable economy for everybody in the world. And having a sustainable economy for everyone in the world means the economy has to be connected to natural resources. It can't be just connected to like cryptocurrency. It has to be connected to some actual resources of the world. But the most essential feature of Varna Ashram Dharma is Varna Dharma and Ashram Dharma, which means that people are engaged according to their nature, whether they're living in the country or in the city. So here we have that there were different types of businesses, different types of crafts. So this would be pertaining primarily to the Vaishyas and the Sudras, and the leaders of these different crafts and different businesses came forward to worship the Lord. What I want to focus on today is the last word of this verse, Hatai Anasa. So Hata means to give up, and Anasaha means sins, which is also Srila Jiva Goswami translates as karmas. So those who welcome Krishna, they were sinless, and thus they were happy and opulent. So sin is the real cause of our problems in this material world. You know, when we think about our problems in this world, we often think about the externals. Birth, death, old age, and disease. Well, I'm suffering because I'm sick. I'm suffering because I'm getting old. I'm suffering because I'm going to die. Or we think about Adi-Daivik, Adi-Atmik, and Adi-Bhotik. Well, I'm suffering from my body and mind. I'm suffering from other living entities. I'm suffering from the weather, natural catastrophes. But the cause of all of these is sin. So the cause of birth, death, old age, and disease, the cause of suffering from the body and mind, the cause of suffering from other living entities, the cause of suffering from nature is sin. That's the real problem. and we have analysis of the parts of sin. There's aparabdha. It's not yet manifest. These are sinful reactions that will manifest in another birth. They're not mature yet. But this aparabdha, it creates what's called kutam, which means an inclination towards sin. This is the real problem, is this kutam, this inner inclination to do sinful activities. Then that produces bijam, a seed, and this bijam is specific sinful desires. So kutam is a general sinful proclivity, and bijam is very specific, and that leads to papa, the actual sin, right? Or here we have the word anasa. Anasa also means sin. So the specific sin, and that produces the parabdha karma. It produces a result, which is the body that we have, the specific body that we have, the family we're born into. All of our circumstances are our parabdha karma. That's manifestations of our sinful activities. And you can say, well, there's sins and there's piety, but really, piety in the material world is just the upper degree of sin. It's just something that's less sinful. Like Prabhupada says, you can be a thief of a diamond or you can be a thief of a cucumber. So if you're only a cucumber thief, that's considered piety. All right. So then, if the root of all of our suffering is sin, what's the root of sin? The desire, but what is it exactly? What is it that's causing us to get in this cycle? And the root of that is envy, which comes from Rajas and Tamas. So we're going to look at envy, and then we're going to look at the cure. So like an intermediate cure is respect. And the ultimate cure is service. That's the ultimate opposite of envy, service and humility. So let's look at envy as the cause of sin. So what's the essence of envy? I'm the most important. Nobody's as important as me. And because I'm the most important, I deserve to have the best of everything. Right? So I'm entitled. I have an entitlement. And therefore, I can take other people's energy. I can take other people's power. I can take other people's possessions. And if I can't get them, then at least I can cause them to lose them, so that everybody will be lesser than me. So let me make sure you don't have it. But if possible, I want to take it. And this is kind of, if we think about meat eating, I just always see meat eating as a prime example of this. I want to pull the very life from the animal in order to maintain my own life. Therefore, Krishna says even eating vegetables, if we don't offer them to Krishna, right? He says, verily they eat only sin. Because it's this concept. I can pull your energy, I can pull your life because I'm more important than you. I'm more important than the carrot. I'm more important. Even if you say, well, you're just taking the fruit, you're just taking the seeds. But I'm more important than whether or not this tree can reproduce. Right? I can take from others. So I don't respect others' quota. I talked about this some months ago. Respecting others' quota doesn't just mean their things. It means their time, their energy, their affection. Right? It's one of the main things that Maharaj teaches in nonviolent communication, is you say, are you willing to? Right? Are you willing to? I have this need, which is producing some feelings in me. Are you willing to meet my need in this particular way? And if the other person says no, then your response is, okay. Okay. I'm not going to try to force or manipulate you to give me something that you're not willing to give. And in this mood of envy, you don't care for the reactions. Envy produces such extreme desire. I'm so important. And because I'm so important, my needs are more important than anyone else's needs. And so I'm just going to take, and I don't care what the reactions are. That's going to happen sometime. Or what we see is generally in this world, We want to continue to be envious, but not suffer the reactions. We want to have the paba without the parabda. So, people go to God and they pray, please remove my disease, please remove my poverty, but do they go to God and say, please remove my envy? Please remove my idea of being the most important. Please remove my entitlement. Now, they don't want that to go away. They just want the reactions to go away. So people try to get rid of reactions without the underlying mentality. So I wanted to read, just in case you think I'm making this up out of the sky, I wanted to read some nice quotes. This is from Bhagavatam 3:20-18 purport. Prabhupada says, forgetfulness of his constitutional position is due to anger or envy. Why anger? Because although I'm the most important and I should get everything, it's not working. I'm not getting everything. The living entity, being eternally a part and parcel servitor of the Supreme Lord, can never, by constitution, be an equal enjoyer with the Lord. When he forgets this, however, and tries to be one with him, his condition is called tamizra. Even in the field of spiritual realization, this tamizra mentality of the living entity is hard to overcome. So we see this continuing even when we take up spiritual life. Bhagavatam 5:16 is, due to ignorance, the materialistic person does not know anything about his real self-interest, the auspicious path in life. He is simply bound to material enjoyment by lusty desires, and all his plans are made for this purpose. For temporary sense gratification, such a person creates a society of envy. And due to this mentality, he plunges into the ocean of suffering. This is 5:16. A society of envy. Isn't that what's going on in the world? Society of envy? Everyone trying to get more than somebody else. Now, you also see this mentality particularly in gambling. Gambling is another, because gambling, you're trying to get money from others without offering them any goods or services in return. Right? Of course, it's a supreme form of cheating because it's open. Like usually in cheating, you try not to let the other person know that you're cheating them. But in gambling, it's like, okay, I'm going to try to take your money without giving you anything. And they say, okay, well, I'm going to try to take your money without giving you anything. And this concept that I deserve like that. And Prabhupada writes in the purport to this verse, 5:16, this is the instructions of Rishabdev to his sons. He says, the word nasta dristihi, meaning one who has no eyes to see the future, is very significant. Life goes from one body to another. The activities performed in this life are enjoyed and suffered in the next life, if not later in this life. One who is unintelligent, who has no eyes to see the future, simply creates enmity and fights with others for sense gratification. So this is this concept that I'm not thinking about the consequences. Or I think the consequences won't happen to me. And I'm so absorbed and I want to take. And of course, there's this incredible statement by Krishna in the 18th verse of the 16th chapter, where Krishna is talking about the demoniac nature, where he says, bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's situated in their own bodies and the bodies of others, and blasphemes against the real religion. The very personality who's giving me everything, who's digesting my food, who's moving with the life air, who's giving me my intelligence, I'm envious of him. Why do I have to be dependent on him? I hate him because I'm dependent on him. Prabhupada writes in this purport, one of the most amazing statements, a demoniac person, being always against God's supremacy, does not like to believe in the scriptures. He is envious of both the scriptures and the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is caused by his so-called prestige and his accumulation of wealth and strength. He does not know that the present life is a preparation for the next life. So again, you find this not thinking about consequences. Not knowing this, he is actually envious of his own self as well as of others. He commits violence on other bodies and of his own. Now, how can you be envious of yourself? Does that make any sense? But the self is what? The soul. And the demoniac, they hate the fact that they're spiritual. They hate the fact that they're a servant of Krishna. They want to take that away. This is another, sorry, these are all heavy. There's another one. Actually, I was recently in Naperville. Ramapad Swami was giving a series of classes on chapter 29 of the third canto, Lord Kapila Dev, and this is one of the verses that he focused on. And I told him that my service to him would be to go and teach this to others, so I am doing that. Lord Kapila Dev says, as the blazing fire of death, I cause great fear to whoever makes the least discrimination between himself and other living entities because of a differential outlook. Anyone who says, I'm better than others. And what's really interesting is the Sanskrit, antara udaram, if you see between the, which Prabhupada translates as body, but udaram literally means what? Dam odarar, dam udara, the stomach. Udara means the belly, the stomach. If you think there's any difference between your stomach and other people's stomachs, my stomach is more important than your stomach. Yeah? And of course, we have Ishopanishad Purport Mantra 1, where Prabhupada writes, the root of sin is deliberate disobedience to the laws of nature through disregarding the proprietorship of the Lord. Disobeying the laws of nature or the order of the Lord brings ruin to a human being. Now, we might think, like when I first joined the Krishna consciousness movement and I was hearing these kind of things in class, I would sit there and think, oh yeah, all those envious materialistic people. It took me a few months before I realized that it was also referring to myself. So unless we're a Nityasiddha devotee who's specifically come to this world simply on a mission, the fact that we have a physical body is the evidence of envy. Right? Does that make sense? You know, if you're in a prison wearing a prison uniform, you probably committed a crime. Probably. Sometimes innocent people get put in jail. But probably. So this is our prison uniform. It's evidence of that. We can say, oh, I'm innocent, but that's not a fact. All right, so what are we going to do to deal with this? So the first step is having respect, having equal vision and respect. This brings us at least to sattva gun. This means, first of all, we respect the laws of God, because Prabhupada says sin comes from deliberate disobedience to the laws of God. So we respect the laws of God, which Prabhupada will often equate to the laws of nature, which I find very interesting. Like if you want to know the laws of God, you look at the laws of nature. And then following them, respecting them and following them, which means also being satisfied with what I get according to my quota. Being satisfied with what I get on a gross platform, on a subtle platform, on every platform, and being satisfied with what the Lord takes as well. Being satisfied with what Krishna gives me, being satisfied with what he takes from me, and seeing everyone equally. My belly isn't more important than other people's belly. Everyone's belly is equally important. Right? Not encroaching on anyone's quota. Everyone is just as important as I am. And feeling some connection with the Lord who's complete. And knowing that because I'm connected with the Lord who's complete, Om Purnamada Purnamidam, I don't need to take anything from others. All my needs are fulfilled by the Lord. So we have some nice quotes in this connection. One of my favorites is 4.834. This is Narada speaking to Dhruva. And I find this, again, one of these astonishing statements. He says, every man should act like this. When he meets a person more qualified than himself, he should be very pleased. When he meets someone less qualified than himself, he should be compassionate towards him. When he meets someone equal, he should make friendship. In this way, one is never affected by the threefold miseries of the material world. And it seems simplistic. I'm not going to be affected by the miseries of this world if I just treat everybody nicely. But this is the opposite of envy. Right? Prabhupada writes in the purport, usually when we see somebody superior to us, we try to pull them down. A lot of what's in the news is like that. This powerful, rich, intelligent, accomplished, famous person is actually a terrible person. Trying to pull them down. Like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says, one man goes to his friend and says, oh, our childhood friend so-and-so, he's a high court judge now. No, that's not possible. I remember him as a kid, No way. No, really, I saw him on the bench. He says, well, then they must not be paying him anything. So this is, trying to pull down those who are above us. And Prabhupada says there in the purport, someone who's equal, then we brag in front of them. We try to put ourselves over them, and those who are subordinate, we exploit them. So these are all symptoms of envy, and instead we're joyful. Oh, somebody's richer than me, somebody's smarter than me, somebody's more spiritually advanced than me, somebody's more beautiful than me, somebody's more talented than me. How wonderful that is. Let me try to help them. Someone's equal to me, let me just be friends with them. Someone's less fortunate, let me help them. And of course, when we go to Ishopanishad, again, mantras 1 and 2, right? Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. By the way, that statement is also very related to Varnashram, that I should do the work that's my work. I should be in the ashram that's my ashram. I shouldn't be trying to take other people's dharma. And then the verse, mantra 2, one may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continuously goes on working in this way, for that work will not bind him to the law of karma. There is no alternative to this way for men. So here we're starting to look at the upper levels of sattva gun as for liberation, that getting free from envy by being respectful can grant us liberation. And Prabhupada, in the purport of Mantra 1, as we already read, that the root of sin is deliberate disobedience. And then Prabhupada goes on and says, conversely, one who is sober, who knows the laws of nature, and you notice Prabhupada always makes this equivalence between the laws of nature and the laws of God, and who is not influenced by unnecessary attachment or aversion, is sure to be recognized by the Lord and thus become eligible to go back to Godhead, back to the eternal home. This not being affected by attachment and aversion is a dominant theme throughout the scripture. That this is a mental state. That whatever I get from the Lord or whatever the Lord takes away from me on a physical platform, mental platform, emotional platform, whatever platform, I'm not attached to anything in this world, nor do I hate anything in this world. Like Sri Rupa Goswami says, the qualification for taking up Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti is some taste for Krishna and not being too attached or too detached. If you're too attached, then you're interested in karma. And if you're too detached, then you're interested in Gyan. You're interested in bhakti and mukti. So to be free from both of those. In 11:29:15, the Lord says, for him who constantly meditates on my presence within all persons, the bad tendencies of rivalry, envy, and abusiveness, along with false ego, are very quickly destroyed. I see Krishna's everywhere. Everywhere is his soul. Everybody has exactly what they should have, and I have exactly what I should have. Okay, so suppose we're trying to practice this, but we mess up sometimes, right? Because Krishna says the modes are always vying for dominance. And sometimes we're going to be, as Prabhupada says in his purport to 14:22-25, as long as we have a body, the body is going to be affected by the modes. So there we go to the last mantra of the Ishopanishad, where Prabhupada writes in the purport, There the devotee says, please free me from all sins. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, in this mantra of Sri Ishopanishad, the devotee prays to the Lord to rectify him from within his heart. To err is human. A conditioned soul is very often apt to commit mistakes, and the only remedial measure to take against such unintentional sins is to give oneself up to the lotus feet of the Lord so that he may guide one to avoid such pitfalls. The Lord takes charge of fully surrendered souls, thus all problems are solved simply by surrendering oneself unto the Lord. This purport is also very significant for another point, that we say that those who are liberated are free from making mistakes, right? And sometimes this is misunderstood, because Prabhupada writes in a letter that there's no utopia, even Krishna makes mistakes. Right? Radharani's looking at Krishna and she starts churning an empty pot, and then Krishna's looking at this and he goes to milk a bull, Prabhupada says. Or the gopis, they're so eager to see Krishna, they put their clothes on upside down. They put the palu of their sari down at the bottom. You know, they only decorate one eye. Prabhupada would sometimes say, instead of saying New Vrindavan in West Virginia, he would say New Virginia. Right? So it's not that liberated souls don't make mistakes like that. Prabhupada's defining here that a mistake is an unintentional sin. That's the definition of a mistake. So that those who are liberated, they don't commit sins even unintentionally because they're completely free of envy. And the devotee is praying to Krishna, please protect me from these mistakes. Now, does this happen immediately? Do we take up Krishna consciousness and this process and poof? That would be nice, huh? But it doesn't work like that. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in 1123, where Srila Rupa Goswami is saying how all these stages of sin are eradicated by bhakti, Srila Jiva Goswami writes in his commentary, Pramena means that the reactions are destroyed gradually from recent to previous, from parabdha to bija to kuta and to aparabdha. However, verse 21 mentioned that immediately the parabdha karmas of the dog eater were destroyed rather than gradually. Therefore, one should understand that, because it says even if a dog eater, if you do bhakti, you can do sacrifices. Therefore, one should understand that the parabdha karmas will be destroyed in the matter of a needle piercing 100 lotus leaves. The needle appears to pierce the whole pile of leaves in one instance immediately, but actually it pierces one leaf at a time gradually. Similarly, the karmas will be destroyed gradually, though from the perspective of the unlimited duration of the jiva's existence in the world, they are destroyed all at once. So from the perspective relative to the fact that we've been in the material world for a long time, bhakti acts immediately to destroy everything. But it's happening gradually. Now we want to come to a higher platform even than equal vision, and this is perhaps the platform that we conditioned souls resist the most. And this is, I'm the least important. So envy is, I'm the most important. Liberation is equal vision. Everyone's equally important. But the ultimate essence of bhakti is everyone's more important. And again, I think we conditioned souls, we really resist this concept because we think of it as tamagun. We think of it as depression. Oh, I'm not important. Nobody cares about me. But it's actually the most blissful state of the living entity. It's deeper than an equal vision. We say it every day when we're studying the Sikshastrika, right? Trinadapi, Sahishina, Turor Iva, Sishina, Amanida, Manadena, Kirtaniya, Sadahari. Not I give respect to everyone and I also should get respect. But I give respect, I don't care about respect for myself. I'm the lowest. Krishnadas Kaviraj was saying I'm lower than a worm. Ramapad Swami, he was talking about this, how the worm, it can take poop and turn it into fertile soil. Right? The worm can eat debris and decaying matter and excrement, and it turns it into, the worms are some of the most important creatures on the whole planet. Can any of us do that? How much more exalted a worm is than ourselves. What service is it doing to the whole ecosphere? Maharaj Yudhisthira was asked by his teacher, find somebody lower than you. He couldn't do it. He said, no one's lower than me. So this isn't just respecting other people's quota. This is service to others. And the whole concept of charity is supposed to teach everybody this. Every religion talks about charity. Krishna says in the 18th chapter, everyone should give charity. This idea that I should share, I should give. Of course, I should give charity appropriately. I shouldn't give charity in tamagun. But this concept that I should serve others and that my needs are being met by Krishna. So this is what Lord Kapila Dev gives as the antidote to this envy in 329:27. He says, therefore, through charitable gifts and attention, as well as through friendly behavior, and by viewing all to be alike, one should propitiate me who abides in all creatures as their very self. So therefore, our mood in bhakti is service. I'm everyone's servant. Prabhupada talks about calling all the devotees and all living entities Prabhu. Prabhupada said we should see all the devotees as our Prabhu and all living entities as our Prabhu. How can I serve you? How can I give to you? I don't have to worry, am I going to get what I need? Krishna's giving me what I need. So the root of a sin, which is the root of our suffering, is envy. That I break the laws of God, taking things that aren't my quota. So at least to be pious and respect others' quotas, to see everyone as equal, but better than that, to see I am the servant. And what is astonishing is how much joy there comes from that. It becomes complete freedom. One no longer has any anxiety about getting anything from anybody or having anything, because one is in the mood that I'm connected with Krishna, the unlimited source. And therefore, because I'm connected with Krishna, the unlimited source, that Krishna through me can give to everybody. I'm not giving from my own power, which is easily depleted. But I'm giving from Krishna, and I don't have to worry about myself because Krishna is supplying unlimitedly. So this is the mood of these residents of Indraprastha, who in their various varnas, here particularly is about the Vaishyas and the Sudras and different businesses, in different crafts, in different guilds, they don't have any sin. They have no envy. They're in the mood of service, and therefore they're taking the best and most auspicious things in their homes, from their work, and Krishnaya, they're offering them to Krishna. So that clock shows that we're out of time. My watch gives me 2 minutes. I'm not sure. 1 minute, yeah. Mm. Yes, the plankton, Christopher was saying the plankton in the ocean, these microscopic creatures, they're producing the majority of the oxygen on the planet. Such insignificant, I'm not doing that. What am I doing? You know, these tiny, insignificant creatures are providing much more benefit to the society than I'm ever going to be able to provide. So who is lower? Maybe the lowest is the best. There's great satisfaction with being the servant of 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 the servant. It's complete freedom that I don't have to artificially take some position and try to maintain it at the cost of others. So anything good in this class is from Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas in the Shastra. Any mistakes in this class are mine. Please either correct or ignore the mistakes and take the good. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. For the whales.
The biggest.
You just eat these tiny little things. That's which is
The end of the world will come when the plankton is gone.
That's right. And the worms.
And the worms, yeah.
And the soil won't have any fertility.
Yeah.
Actually, very interesting class. And on the contrary, rather than giving me pollute the entire environment is polluted by us, the
Yes, yes.
humans who are
Just
supposed to be
taking.
more intelligent.
Yes, instead of, instead of being a worm, we're actually destroying everything.
I like when you said your body is the very result of
It's
that
the result,
process.
that's right.
Very, very, very deep. Yeah.
We wouldn't even have a material body otherwise.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalayataksham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Gaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravahani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachade Satarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Shunyavali Vaskachari Satarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Shri Radhe Jaya Giri Govardhan 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Jaya Vishnu Bhat Paramahansa 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 Shishimad Vangri Desi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya. ISKCON, Founder Charge Srila Prabhupada. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jaya. Prem Go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasavi Gaur Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. Jai Radha Krishna Gopa Gopana Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Gaurana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mai Pranavadeep Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki. Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki. Harinam Sankirtan Ki. Priyat Mridanga Ki. Samaveda Bhaktivinda Ki. Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Just want to say we had a great Harinam yesterday. It was Nagar Sankirtan going from Gold Park to Weaver Street, and we really ran into a lot of people, different people, and 98% positive. So this is really the life of Krishna consciousness, because we have this Maha Mantra is like breaking through all the Maya, at least for those few moments. And next week, I think it's St. Patrick's Day parade, right? Saturday. So and it's going to be pretty good weather that day too. So we'll really be able to reach a lot of fallen conditioned souls next Saturday in Raleigh. So let's keep the Harinams going. And Pani Bhushana took a lot of pictures and videos, so Pani, if you're listening, please post those. Jai. Chaito Darpanam Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midvishamiha Janina Nuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vabada Pankaja Stita Duli Sajashim Vachintaya Nayanam Galashu Daraya Varanam Gat Garuradaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanamagrahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravishayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyava Padamritam Anastumam Adarshanam Marmahatakarotuva Yatatatava Vidadatulam Pato Mat Prananatastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction of living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking to oneself, lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy